No, mate. For the last time, I am not going to do the Kevin Owens thing. I don't even like Shania Twain. Hello, I am not Adam Wilborn for What Culture Wrestling. Unfortunately, our very own banter hound is currently on holiday. He'll be back next week, or maybe never, if the chaos on his Instagram is anything to go by. But until then, you've got me. My name is Andy, and this is 10 wrestling facts you didn't know last week. Today we've got a whole lot of interesting stuff for you, including the inside story on the Brooklyn Brawler's unlikely WWE title shot, Kevin Owens' unique pre-match ritual, and further proof that Vince McMahon is losing his damn mind. So yes, wrestling fans, even those of you in Berlin, strap yourselves in, because it's time to do the thing. Yeah, that'll do. Hit it. Number 10. JR was supposed to fire Eric Bischoff on the day of Beach Blast 92. WCW Beach Blast 92 is perhaps best known for a couple of awesome matches in Sting vs Cactus Jack and Rick Rude vs Ricky Steamboat, but it could have been notable for a whole other reason had Jim Ross gone through with Bill Watts' original plan to fire Eric Bischoff that very night. That's right, fire Eazy-E, the pro wrestling maverick who came within a hair of bringing the WWF down during the Monday Night Wars, only to play a pretty big role in WCW's downfall itself. But let's forget about that for a moment. JR was charged with being the messenger who delivered the news to Bischoff, but on a recent episode of his podcast, he admits that he just didn't feel like playing the bad guy. As a result, Bischoff, who was working as an announcer at the time, kept his job and would later replace Watts as WCW's executive producer the following year. Karma. Number 9. Becky Lynch has been pitching women's tag titles for 2 years. Now, Becky Lynch isn't exactly a pushed commodity at the moment, but that hasn't stopped the last kicker from pitching ideas to the very same creative team that neutered her push. That's right, push. 2 O's. Push? Becky recently revealed during an appearance at Comic-Con in Seattle that she has been pitching the idea of a women's tag division for 2 years, and interestingly, if the idea came to fruition, she'd have the belts transition freely between Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. Now, WWE are yet to take Becky up on this idea, but given that these rumours come up in the press all the time, it seems perfectly feasible, and on top of this, it sounds like a pretty good way to freshen the division up. Number 8. Jerry Lawler convinced Titus ONeil to capitalise on his botch. First of all, pour one out for Adam Wilborn, who cannot be here on the 1 week we finally get to talk about his favourite wrestler in the world, Titus ONeil. No, I will not do the gimmick. Remember Titus's slip at the Greatest Royal Rumble? Of course you do. Well, according to Jerry Lawler in a recent interview, King himself was the one who convinced Titus that he should lean into it and make the botch part of his character. Apparently, Lawler wanted to see Titus come down for a match on Raw, slip again, then slide all the way under the ring, come up the other side and pin his opponent with a surprise roll-up. WWE's stupid LED boards that they love putting around the ring unfortunately made this impossible, but Titus was supposedly up for it. Why? Because he's a bloody great guy. Number 7. Booker T's positive attitude as G.I. Bro left DDP stunned. Now, G.I. Bro was a farty bollocks gimmick and probably should have nuked Booker T's mainstream wrestling career, but it didn't, and according to Diamond Dallas Page, this may be down to the man himself and his positivity towards portraying a gimmick that he came up with at the very start of his career. DDP was on Steve Austin's podcast recently and told the host that he couldn't believe the enthusiasm that Booker T had for a gimmick that everyone else on the roster assumed was a death knell. While he was aligned with the Misfits in Action, Booker allegedly told Page that I'm just gonna keep going until I get over. And with that attitude, it's no wonder he did. Number 6. The Brooklyn Brawler once got an accidental WWE title shot. Some wrestlers seem destined for championship golden glory, while others, well, they don't. Unfortunately, the Brooklyn Brawler falls into that latter category, but he did earn himself a WWE title shot back in September 1997. Well, I say earn, but what I really mean is that he was part of a 20-man contendership battle royal in Madison Square Garden, where the winner would receive a WWE title shot the next time they visited the venue, and the original winner, Ken Shamrock, was injured. Well, Brawler, who you perhaps know as a career jobber, decided to shoot his shot with Vince McMahon and said that maybe it would be a good idea if a hometown guy went over. Surprisingly, Vince agreed. Brawler won the Battle Royal and he ended up wrestling Shawn Michaels for the WWE Championship in November 1997, the next time the company hit MSG. Did he win? Did he bollocks? But still, what a nice story. Number 5. Steve Lombardi had to take 3 planes in one day to play Doink the Clown. Speaking of the Brawler, Christian named Steve Lombardi, when Matt Bourne, the original Doink the Clown, decided to leave the company, Vince McMahon was in a bind. He needed somebody else to play the gimmick, and so he picked up the phone, called Mr. Lombardi and said, "Hey pal, I need you to be in Calgary, Canada to wrestle Bret Hart." But there was just one problem. McMahon gave him one hell of a travel schedule. First, Lombardi had to go all the way up to Stamford to learn how to apply the clown makeup. Then, he had to go to Cleveland, Ohio to pick up the costume from Bourne's wife. Then finally, he had to fly up to Calgary for the match itself, all within the space of a single morning and afternoon. Surprisingly, Big Steve did what he was told and he wrestled Bret Hart as Doink because apparently he's mental. Number 4. The Undertaker told Tatanka that HBK politicked him out of the IC title. Younger wrestling fans may know Tatanka primarily for his really weird WWE returns in 2005, then again in 2016, but he was originally at one point scripted to take the Intercontinental title from Shawn Michaels after WrestleMania 9. The WrestleMania match ended in a double countout, but according to Tatanka in a recent interview with RingsideNews.com, there was supposed to be a rematch during which the Native American character would take the belt. Well, the rematch never happened and Tatanka was furious because apparently the Undertaker had told him that Shawn Michaels had used his significant political clout to scrap the match and keep the belt. What a surprise! Bloody Tory. Number 3. The Undertaker and Edge traded gear after WrestleMania 24. Now, we're used to professional sportsmen trading jerseys after a big game, but not wrestlers, because let's be honest, the idea of taking another man's sweaty, slimy, smelly pants is kind of gross. Well, apparently Edge and The Undertaker ended up doing just that at WrestleMania 24, according to Edge on a recent episode of the Pod of Awesomeness. He really wanted Taker's gloves, so in exchange he traded his tights and his kick pads from their epic match. Edge later revealed on the very same episode of the podcast that he vacuum packs every single pair of tights and jacket that he has worn throughout his career. As for Taker, well, let's just assume that he uses Edge's old tights as pajamas. If goths indeed wear pajamas. Someone let me know. Number 2. Kevin Owens talks to Owen Hart before matches. While your man Kevin Owens certainly isn't religious, he does have a pretty interesting pre-match ritual as revealed in a recent interview with Angus Leader. Before every single match, when he reaches the gorilla position, KO will say a few words to Owen Hart, Dusty Rhodes and his deceased grandparents, asking them to keep him safe from harm. Owens also revealed that he is constantly adding new names to the list as time goes by, but as his biggest influence in his career, Owen Hart is his go-to guy. That's just really heartwarming, isn't it? And number 1, Vince McMahon forgot Brock Lesnar's finisher. Now this one admittedly ranks pretty low as far as evidence that Vince McMahon is bloody mental goes, but it's still pretty eye-opening because apparently he can't even remember finishing moves anymore. This comes from Kevin Eck, a former WWE creative team member, on a recent appearance of the Wade Keller podcast, who revealed that Vince once forgot Brock Lesnar's finishing move during a booking meeting. When reminded that it was the F5, Vince reportedly laughed it off, and Eck did give him a big pass, saying that he has a lot to worry about on show days and may often forget certain minor details, like his biggest star's biggest move. Good job. So that's it, our trip through this week's batch of wrestling miscellany is complete. Head over to the comment section and let us know what you thought of this week's show, but don't worry, wee Willie Wilborn is back next week. And once you've done that, head over to whatculture.com/WWE, where you will find the article that this very series is based on, as written by my Scottish brethren, Jamie Kennedy. For now, I've been Andy, and I'll see you later.